So it's no secret at this point that email marketing is driving tons of revenue for businesses of all kinds. But the issue that a lot of brands are running into is that they're landing in spam, they're landing in promotions, and you might fall into this same bucket. That's exactly why I'm making this video, because my team and I have sent millions and millions of emails out for clients. And so I want to show you exactly what we've done and how we stay in the primary tab as often as possible. And I'm actually letting you in on a little bit of secret training here, because I prepared this training document that I'm about to walk through with you for a team that I was doing training for a few weeks back. And yeah, put simply, you're about to be put on all the game that I gave to them. Let's jump right into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the 2025 email marketing deliverability guide. Remember, do not continue watching unless you want your email marketing to make big money. To kind of give you an overview on deliverability, so the best email content in the world that is paired with poor deliverability will simply not reach your audience. That's obvious. But if you have the best email content in the world and you pair it with great deliverability, your audience sees it, and as you can see as a result right here, you make money. And I could give you every tip, tactic, and strategy in the book, but if your content isn't being delivered to your audience, all of these efforts, everything I talk about in this channel, all the stuff you do in your email marketing, it all goes to waste. So it's absolutely crucial that you have deliverability out of the way, taken care of, and in the back of your mind so you can focus on what truly matters, which is converting people from non-buyers to repeat customers who spend a lot of money with your company over time. All right, so the secrets to A+ deliverability. First of all, deliverability is essentially how well or how frequently you land in your recipient's inbox or primary tab. And if you don't perfect it, you're leaving thousands of dollars on the table every single month. So everything that I'm gonna go over in this training is going to be pretty boring, I'm not gonna lie, but everything here works and it's been tested by us across dozens of clients. So like I said before, if you want your email marketing to make you a lot of money this year and you don't want all of it to be wasted in the spam folder, then just follow this protocol, you'll be good. If your deliverability practices are done perfectly, just like this guy that I'm about to give you is going to teach, then you'll be able to trust that you're always landing in your subscribers' inboxes, and your revenue will obviously reflect that. If you ignore some of these things and you decide they're just not a big deal and your deliverability practices are poor, you're going to be wondering why your email marketing doesn't work. You're going to blame whoever's working on it, and revenue will suffer. So starting with the domain setup. As you can see here, these are the 4 core things that go into A+ deliverability. We're gonna break down each one here. So before you worry about anything else, it's very crucial that you get these 3 records added to your sending domain. So let's say your sending domain is Nike.com, right? You wanna have these 3 DNS records set up on that domain, Nike.com, wherever you host the domain. It might be GoDaddy, it might be something like Namecheap or Porkbun, whatever it is. So I'm not gonna go through the specifics of what each of these records mean. You can read through this here if you want. You don't really have to understand why you need each of these records. Just know that each one of these is important, and it won't take you long to actually get them set up. So if you go to mxtoolbox.com/dmarcrecordgenerator.aspx, you can automatically generate a DMARC record for your domain and then set that up in your GoDaddy platform, or again, wherever you host your domain. Keep in mind, you should only have 1 DMARC record per domain. If you have more than one, figure out, ask ChatGPT or something, figure out where the extra ones are coming from. You shouldn't have more than 1 DMARC. Also, quick tip, just to avoid a bunch of frustration, when you set up DMARC, it's gonna send you a bunch of reports to your email inbox. You wanna go in your email inbox, maybe it's Gmail, you can go into the settings and set a little filter, find something that's the same in all of those little reports and have them go to a separate folder so that your inbox isn't filled with a bunch of random reports. Now, moving on to the SPF and the DKIM records, you can use that link right there to get the SPF. We'll make sure that we drop these in the description for you. And then same thing for the DKIM record, just this different link. Once again, we'll drop these in the description for you. And once again, if anything doesn't seem right here, just make a quick Google search or ask ChatGPT something like this. So I like to go prompt. Below, I pasted the type, hostname, and value. Those are the 3 different things that you'll enter into the domain hosting platform when you set these up, of my DMARC, SPF, and DKIM records for my domain, which I will be sending bulk emails from. Analyze these and tell me what might have been wrong or what I need to change. If you need more context on anything, just please ask me for it. Really simple. ChatGPT will pretty much help you with any problem you have here. It's 2025. All right, so now the second part of this first pillar is your account setup. So the main point here is getting your dedicated sending domain set up and running in Klaviyo. If you're not using Klaviyo and you're using some of the inferior email sending platforms like MailChimp or something, I believe you still set this up in a similar way. I'm just gonna teach you based on Klaviyo because that's the best platform and you should be using Klaviyo. Once again, I'm not incentivized to tell you that. We just use Klaviyo because it's actually the best one. So here are the steps to get that built out. So in the Klaviyo account, hit your little profile button in the bottom left corner and go to settings, then go to email, then you'll hit domains. Then you're gonna see an option there for a dedicated sending domain. From there, it's really simple. You just select your domain hosting platform. Klaviyo will generate the DNS records for you. And once it gives you those, you just set them up in your domain's hosting platform under the DNS records section. It's literally as simple as just copy and pasting values over. And then you just go back and verify those in Klaviyo. Sometimes, rarely, this will take 24 to 48 hours. Usually it's right away though. And then obviously if there are any issues, double check the records, make sure that you ask ChatGPT, whatever it is. All right, next up is warming up your domain. This still falls in that first category of the proper domain and account setup. So if you've been sending consistently to your list for at least 30 days, you can completely skip this part. But if you're working with a fresh account, it's important to warm things up rather than just sending to everybody all at once. So for a typical list size, we usually want to start with sending about 1/8 of the list, then we'll go to 1/5 of the list, then 1/4 of the list, then we'll mix in like a 30-day engage segment. So those are the people that have opened or clicked from those other sends that we did. That way we're getting higher open rates and creating that strong sender reputation, which we'll get into later. And then we'll move our way up to a 1/3 of the list, then 3/4 of the list, then the whole list. And like I said, you want to sprinkle in some 30-day engage segments in there so that you get reliable high open rates, because that helps establish a strong sending reputation. Eventually, after about 30 days of this, you will no longer have to worry about warming up the domain. It'll already be warmed up. And you can start sending consistently 2 to 4 emails per week to large groups of the list. All right, next up, email list hygiene. All right, so the main key with email list hygiene is that you want as much of your email list as possible to be actually engaging with the emails. And preferably a large percentage of those people are buyers from your brand, meaning they've given you money before. So if you have 250,000 active subscribers on your email list and only 30 to 50,000 actually engage, your list is filled with garbage subscribers. A lot of brand owners end up with this because they end up buying lists or something like that. Don't do that. You're skipping the hard work. Like, you don't want to have people on your email list, especially a warm email list, unless they've actually opted in. So in order to clean all those garbage leads out of the list, you're gonna have to set up a sunset unengaged flow. So I'm gonna kind of cruise through this. If you want, at any point, feel free to pause and read this in more depth. But first, you're creating a segment of the people that are unengaged with the emails. Wait, let me say that again with it highlighted. So first, you're creating a segment of the people in your account that are not regularly engaging with the emails. And of course, there's more details on creating that segment and here. After that, you want to create a flow that is triggered when people join that segment. And then essentially that flow will just have different pieces of content in it that either give people offers or just try to get them to engage again so that they leave this unengaged segment. If they reach the end of this flow without engaging, we'll officially mark them unengaged. And then at the end of each month, we'll go to that unengaged segment that we created of the people that made it to the end of that flow. And then we'll suppress them from the list so that they don't hear from us anymore. So put simply, this will keep your list clean of any unengaged profiles, which helps your deliverability, since you won't be sending to people that don't interact with your marketing. All right, pillar number 3 is clean sending practices. So this part truly just comes down to segmentation. 90% of the businesses that I audit will send one email to their whole list on a weekly basis with zero regard for who's receiving that email. Obviously, that's the wrong way to do it. By segmenting out each email that you send, you can specifically target different groups of your list based on their behavior and habits. And essentially, that leads to higher open rates, higher click rates, and ultimately higher conversions and more revenue. And not only does it immediately make you more money since you're sending more targeted emails, it also gives you a better sender reputation in the eyes of Google, Outlook, Yahoo, all these platforms, since people are engaging with your emails more. So here's a quick list of 5 basic segmentation filters that you might want to try out. And to give you specifics, ideally you want your open rates to always stay above a 40% average. And for click rates, it doesn't matter as much as the open rates, but typically we want to shoot for at least about a 1% average. Also, this is really important for the welcome series flow because these are people that just joined your list. You want to push for replies whenever possible, because if a lot of people are replying back to your email, it's going to show these platforms that people engage and that you're a real person really sending these. The 4th and final pillar here is leveraging text to image ratio. So one of the biggest keys to maximizing deliverability is including more text in your emails rather than images. So you simply want to add plain text blocks whenever possible. If you upload everything as an image at all times that's not compressed, it's going to really kill your deliverability. However, there's this platform called iloveimg.com. Once again, I'm not sponsored to tell you this. They are not sponsoring this video. I'm only shouting it out because we use it and it's helpful for us. We'll use emails filled with images, but because we click this little compress button right here and we compress the images before we upload them, it's fine. But you also probably want really cool looking emails with these images that are obviously compressed using a platform like iloveimg. So at our agency, what we do is we leverage something called the primary tab footer. So the primary tab footer allows us to load an email up with images and still land in our recipient's primary tab 90% of the time. So essentially the primary tab footer just contains a block of 400 to 500 words of text, which helps improve your text to image ratio. This is important because the email platforms like Gmail and Yahoo and Outlook and all those platforms are looking for a text to image ratio. So if you have heavy images that aren't compressed and very little text, it really hurts your deliverability. But if you have a primary tab footer with a bunch of text at the bottom and you compress your images, you're gonna be fine. Key for this is that you want to make the text size 8 to 10 so that's really small and it doesn't take up a ton of space. You just want to condense that block down. All right, now to cap this off, I want to show you how to easily and smoothly implement this training without operational issues. So as this graphic shows you right here, you kind of have 3 choices from this point on. You could ignore this training and all this video that you just watched completely and just like sort of implement it. Or you could fully implement it, take these tips and best practices and actually use them. As you can see very clearly, the first 2 choices here are going to lead to wavering deliverability all the time that you just can't really trust. But if you fully implement it, like I can almost guarantee you, you will see success with it. So now I want to quickly explain how to implement each of the 4 aspects of this without too much complexity or operational issues. Once again, this is probably the most important part of this entire training, so do not skip this. So starting with the proper domain and account setup, these things are very simple setups and they will not really take you that long unless you're completely brand new to using a domain before, but even then it's not going to take you that long. And once they're done and you can ignore them. If you have a website guy or like a developer team that manages your DNS records and all the domain stuff, you can just have them take care of this. Or you could just generate the records on your own and then send them to him or her to have them take care of it. As for email list hygiene, the sunset unengaged flow is a simple one-time setup. Yeah, you'll have to create the content for it and you'll have to build it out. But in this video, I gave you the whole guide on how to do that. And then the only other aspect of that is that you need to set a reminder or some task, a recurring task, and wherever you do your project management at the end of every month to go through and suppress the people in that suppression segment. Now for the clean setting practices, if you develop email content with prepared email briefs, add a section to the brief for segmentation and be very conscious of what segment each email should be sent to. If you don't use email briefs, that's fine too. Just be sure to send to a 15 or 30-day engaged segment at least once out of every like 3 to 5 emails that you send out. Just remember that you always want your open rates to stay above at least a 40% average. And obviously monitor your unsubscribes, your spam complaint rates, your click rates, all those types of metrics. If they're way below that, send to more engaged segments for a week or 2 to make sure that your sender reputation is repaired. And then as for email content that's optimized specifically for deliverability, the primary tab footer that I told you about in this video is a one-time setup, and then from there you can simply drag and drop it into every email you send out. You just want to mark it as a little universal block in Klaviyo or again, whatever email sending platform you use, and drag it into all the emails that you create. And then the other aspect of this is when you're creating your content, you want to be compressing all the images and also using plain text blocks where it makes sense to. So with that being said, I hope you found this valuable. I audit Klaviyo accounts all the time and see brands messing this up, and it's literally just holding them back from making way more money than they should be. Now, what we covered in this video was just a small section of a massive training document that I prepared on everything email and SMS marketing. If you want that full document with all of the stuff on list growth, deliverability that we talked about here, campaigns, flows, the creatives, everything, the top link in the description will give you a link to grab that full document for free. And if you like this one, you'll love this free course that I have in the next video on the screen right here. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.